For for what I set out to do, I had a really poor track record. My goal was to create cash flow, and I had done that, but it wasn't consistent with rental properties. The income would come in, and then a large expense would happen, and then entire years of cash flow would get wiped out. So I wanted to go and solve some initial problems first before actually getting to work. So the goal here was to take all the mistakes I'd made in the past and essentially not repeat them. The first problem I had was buying all this fancy CRM software, etc., paying for resources that I didn't necessarily just because I thought I would need them in the future, or just I thought they would solve a problem that I didn't really have. So I just actually took the complete opposite approach. So I went through the inventory of software, subscriptions, whatever it is that I had going on, whatever I had already signed up for, and started removing things that I no longer needed right now. Could I get away with using something simpler? So when I was building a business, the goal this time was to run as lean as possible, have as little overhead as possible, because again, I wanted to make money, not just spend money to build something that I did not know if it was going to work out or not. Okay, so the first problem I had was in the past, I spent all this money on CRMs, learning software, paying for subscriptions that I didn't really need right now. So instead of adding, I decided to go the complete opposite direction and figure out what is it I was paying for so that and what software I was currently paying for that I could keep, or what free resources I had available to me that I could use instead of paying for fancy tools. So the problem was I was just throwing money at things. The solution was no tools. We started off using Google Sheets to track our books as our CRM, our letter matrix, our dashboards, anything performance related. We just use simple Google Sheets. If it didn't make sense to put it into one file, then we just created a separate Google Sheet file. And we had all of these different tabs. And that's all we did was keep it super simple and light using Google Sheets. And even today, to this day, with about $3 million deployed, we just do everything on Google Sheets. We've looked into other software, but still really no need for it. Everything that I do is relationship based. So it's not like automated drips really help because I receive automated drips and those don't really help me build a relationship with anybody. So yeah, we are keeping it super simple with just using Google Sheets, or we start off just using Google Sheets and nothing else. So another problem I had was just solving hypothetical problems that I would run into, but solving them today. I spent a lot of time trying to figure out what I could do to future proof the business and paying for things that we didn't really need. But by paying for things, I mean paying for people, software resources, tools that we didn't really need, that weren't necessary to build our business right now or at that time. So the solution was to focus on one problem at a time. So I the main revenue driver, or what I thought was the main revenue driver, figuring that out as cheaply as possible. And that meant me digging in and putting in the time and the effort. Even if I didn't know or had little knowledge in what I was doing, decided to just spend the time and effort into figuring it out. Well, mainly because I understood that if I figured out this problem, it would just add to my total list of skills and it would be applicable to something else in the future. So instead of paying for things, just dug in and essentially went in and put in the work to figure things out. The next problem I was running into that I wanted to solve before we even really started up was figuring out my own mental state. So I had this weird programming in my mind where, I'm still new, still learning that it's okay to pay a little bit more for things or to not make money because it's part of the paying the dues. It's part of the learning experience, part of education. Like went into this thinking that, yeah, I'm paying for education, but I really feel like that mindset has hurt me more than anything else. Yes, I've been able to take a lot of action and I've been able to dabble in a lot of different things that most people have not. So I have like a wide range of experiences with wholesaling, land flipping, all these different things, but it's hurt me because instead of taking things seriously and focusing on driving income, treated this entire business building like a hobby. And so it really was just like I really just took the position of we'll try it and see how it goes. The solution was having to go through a huge mental shift. So no longer dabbling, no longer treating this like a hobby. I'm here to build a business and provide for my family. I can try things, but it needs to drive income. I can try things. It just has to not cost me a lot of money, not paying hundreds of dollars for things to try them out, not paying thousands of dollars for education or courses. Let me figure out how to do this. Let me be more resourceful than just taking money and throwing it at a problem and really just focus on income driving activities. Am I working? What am I going to work on to then get to that first bit of revenue or to increase our monthly revenue? So as I was building and really coming up with a strategy and a way to build this business, these were the first few problems that I wanted to solve. I had already found what I wanted my day to look like. I had already found which path I'm going to go down that meets that requirement, and then now it's learning from past mistakes. And I think that's an important thing to kind of end on because I'd always heard this before where you can go down this path, you can start doing something, and even though you don't make money or whatever it is, if you restart, you're not you're not starting from zero. You've you've as long as then you're not starting at zero. You're doing what you're supposed to be doing to take that next step. At least that's been my experience.